Hello and welcome to Anxiety Hacks. So I'm your host, Kate Hudson Hall, and thank you so much for listening. So do you struggle with anxiety? I know that I have from the age of 5 and it on and off throughout my life. So hence why I set the podcast up, because I work with people with anxiety to help them to begin to break those patterns and give them the tools to be able to, for them to be able to take away, to be able to work with the anxiety when we're not together. And before we begin, I just want to mention my new book, also called Anxiety Hacks. And the book incorporates many different techniques and tools and tips to be able to, for you to learn to be able to break your difficult patterns connected with your anxiety. And like I said, there's lots of different techniques in there. There is emotional freedom technique, which is the tapping technique. And then also within the book, there is a free companion course. So there's a link in there, so you can zip over to the companion course and you can watch videos of me actually showing you how to practice each of the techniques. And then there's also free downloadable tables and lots of other information in there to be able to help you. So check it out. Anxiety Hacks is on Amazon. Now, our guest today is Katharina Hellmann. Katharina is a certified life coach and also a climate change coach. She had her own issues with anxiety, and her mission now is to help people who want to make a difference leave behind anxiety, paralysis, and fear and move forward toward empowerment, determination, and hope. Katharina joins us to share her difficult journey with climate anxiety and despair and hopelessness, and how she now works with her clients suffering from anxiety. So, Katharina, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and speak to your audience. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's fabulous to have you here. Absolutely fabulous. So, Katharina, so tell us about your difficult journey with anxiety, with climate anxiety, which we were saying before, before we started recording. I was saying there's probably so many people that have this specific type of issue that, that materializes into anxiety.
Yes, absolutely. And it's getting more and more like the proportions of people that are suffering from climate anxiety, specifically amongst young people. So there are really worrying proportions of people, that are suffering from that. And I can totally relate because I myself was once in that place. For me, to be precise, it was the year 2018 when I first started coming across the United Nations Climate Change Panel report of 2018 that said that we as humanity have only 12 years left to act in order to avoid the worst consequences of climate change. It was the same report that sparked the Fridays for Future movement, by the way.
Right.
And this report, and specifically this deadline of then 12, of course, now minus 4, 8, 9 years, for me was one of like the triggering points or the like starting points in my own climate anxiety journey. And actually, I had just gotten married a year before, and my husband and I, we were, just in the process of planning our family, basically. And then this report dropped, and I went like really down the drain, basically.
Yeah.
And for me, I questioned everything. I questioned, my life, my job, my family planning plans, I cried for days. It was horrible. So I really went completely off the rails. And I started to, of course, I needed to get out there because I wasn't functioning properly anymore. Like this climate change problem was all that I could think of. And I started to, look for therapists, look for all sorts of techniques and tools. And in this whole journey that took me a few months, I finally came across life coaching in the type that I'm now trained in. And that was for me actually the first time in my life, despite having been exposed to coaching, despite having been exposed to, you know, therapy before, that I really actually learned about where my emotions are coming from and what I can do to handle them, like to actually handle them with practical tools, much like it sounds that you are offering in the book that you just wrote and promoted. You know, not just like some abstract theoretical you know, learning it, that was my experience of therapy, that it's all quite theoretic and abstract, but like actually practical tools that I can use and that I could use and actually did use like every single day. And that really helped me, you know, to get a handle on that problem and to slowly emerge from that black hole of despair and you know, turn that around and get into action, find an action that I could do with regards to tackling this problem. Because there came a point where I wouldn't say anxiety free, but you know, at a point where I said, okay, now what? Now that I've gotten a handle on this anxiety problem, what do I want to do about it? And that was also the galvanizing point for me to change my life with regards to living more sustainably. It was the last time that I've been in a plane, for example. It's the, you know, I'm in the process of becoming a vegetarian. You know, I made all sorts, I sold my car. So I did all sorts of things that helped me change my life. And I have to say that, in fact, what I also realized in that journey is that I didn't need all these things.
Right.
In fact, I was so much happier now because I learned how to generate my emotions, how to create my happiness from within myself, from the inside, without having been dependent on, you know, material things or social status symbols or all these things. So for me, it was not just a journey that got me out of the anxiety and towards, you know, being functioning in my life again, but it was also like a sort of this holistic, encompassing change of mindset with regard to material things and where my happiness is coming from and what I want to be doing in my life. And in fact, all of this has been so transformative for me that I certified as a life coach with exactly the same institution that I learned all of this from. And I want to, as you said in your intro about me, I want to dedicate this knowledge and this training and this coaching activity of mine to help people who maybe are in the same position and who also say, okay, I'm done with looking at the world go up in flames. I want to be doing something, and I just need someone who maybe helps me identify what that could be and how to get that actually implemented and on the street.
It's kind of taking that confused mind, thinking they don't know where to go with it, with all of these different thoughts and everything, and unraveling it and then piecing it back together so it works positively for them and they get to their goal wherever they want to go.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically about turning the anxiety into action that matters. That's the point.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Excellent. Turning that anxiety and creating productivity.
Yeah.
Exactly. Excellent. So tell us, let's start off, Katharina, and tell us about when you were beginning to break your difficult behavior patterns connected with anxiety. So what worked for you?
Well, for me, one of the most important things that I learned in this journey was how to actually process my emotions in a healthy way. Because before, I was one of those people that couldn't handle negative emotions. I was, you know, just bottling them up or pushing them away and not having them be part of my life. And through this whole journey, I actually realized that it's actually completely normal to have anxiety, specifically with a topic like climate change, which is this so overwhelming, you know, challenge for the entire world, for, you know, all of humanity, and which, at least from what we read in the media and you know, how it is reported, there doesn't seem to be any way out of that. And it seems to be this encompassing, vital challenge and sort of a threat to us that we can't escape from. And of course, if you are being exposed to something that is presented like that to you, your brain will have the reaction of anxiety, because our brain is programmed in this certain way from, you know, millions of years ago, thousands of years ago. And it's still the same programming today than we had in the Stone Age. And in the Stone Age, our brain was kicking into action
to protect us,
to protect us, to secure our survival. So anxiety is a survival reaction. It's a survival mechanism that our brain offers to us, and it's actually the most normal and human and natural thing in the world. And there is nothing wrong here. There is nothing wrong with me feeling the anxiety at all in the first place, because there is this whole spectrum of human emotion, and all these emotions, positive and negative, have their place and have their justification and have also their value in our lives. That's also very important. And there is also nothing wrong with me if I'm feeling anxiety. So it is a very normal and natural reaction. So normalizing the feeling of anxiety in a situation like that, when we are exposed to things like climate change, that was a huge step for me. And then learning how to actually feel these feelings from the beginning till the end, let's say.
And how did you do that?
It was just, you know, mindfulness techniques, just actually sitting with the pain if you want to, you know, like exposing yourself to that and allowing it fully without distracting myself. And the more you become aware of the emotion, the more you allow the emotion to be there without, you know, hiding from it, distracting yourself from it.
Yeah.
The more
and I think, sorry, Katharina. So for people that don't know what mindfulness is specifically, so mindfulness is the awareness that arises by paying attention on purpose in the present moment, and not being judgmental that your mind will keep wandering off, because it will, but it's being kind to yourself. And it's like you say, turning towards that anxious feeling or the difficult feelings that you're having, and allow them to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So there are actually 3 parts to that. The first is noticing what is going on, giving a name to what is going on. Like in that case, let's say anxiety. The second step is to kind of take the position of a scientist, look at what is going on physically. Maybe are there any physical sensations that you are feeling, like a tingling, redness, tightness, you know, maybe in your throat, or, you know, like a pressure on your chest when you're feeling anxiety, that kind of thing. And kind of
tension,
bring attention to that, and have this almost like a stance of curiosity to, you know, bring that, like, oh, that's interesting, I'm feeling tingling, I'm feeling tightness, like what else is going to happen, you know, this sort of stance to it. And then the third step would then be to really allow that, and that means to actually let this emotion wash through you like a wave. And the more you do that, the more you let the wave wash through you without blocking it, without, you know, trying to deviate it, without bottling it up, the more you will realize that all your emotions are just vibrations of energy. And there is nothing wrong here. There is nothing that will kill you. It's nothing that will harm you, physically harm you. It, of course, will feel uncomfortable. It might be even painful, also physically, for a little moment, but ultimately it will dissipate naturally after a while. It's really like a wave that, you know, rises and falls back.
In my book, I talk about the emotion surfing. So it's riding those waves, becoming a surfer.
Exactly.
And riding those waves and allowing them to be there, because they will rise up and then they'll fall.
Exactly.
And so it's working with those emotions
rather than against them. Yeah, exactly.
So I talk the steps through that, and then there's a video of me showing you how to practice that as well, because it's really important to you know, to sit with those feelings and allow them to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what else did you find that worked for you?
Well, and then it really came down, like once I had the emotional processing, like the ability to process my emotions, then it really came down to looking, okay, like where are these emotions actually coming from? And that step really boiled down to what I was thinking, my mindset, my thoughts, my beliefs
Yeah.
about climate change, about the future, about what was going to happen. And then to really like analyze that, like, is that even true, what I'm thinking? And if it is this going to help me that I'm, continuously thinking about it and like going deep into the hole? Or is there another thing that I can focus on? Is there maybe some positive action being taken in the world
Yeah.
by, I don't know, some NGO, by some government, by some company that is developing, I don't know, renewable energy solutions and that kind of thing. So it really came down then to shifting perspective away from this, oh my God, we're all going to be dying. I'm like, my kid is going to die. I'm going to, like, this constant media wave of negative news that is being, pushed up and up and up and up by all the, all the media companies and all the algorithms and all this like catastrophizing over there.
Yes.
And just make this like conscious shift to, okay, is there another option of what could be happening? Is there something that I can focus on that will like help me to not fall down the drain again, but to actually empower me, to give me hope, to get myself going and joining the fight, rather than me being completely paralyzed, like, the rabbit looking at the snake.
Mm.
And that really, this work of, changing my beliefs and mindsets, that really was then the most important part.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so what other techniques or tools would you, or tips would you have you got that you could share with the listeners?
Yeah. So we already talked about the emotional processing technique of first step, becoming aware, second step, allowing and analyzing that like a scientist, and the third step being, letting the emotions wash through your body. And with regards to mindset, I would say to realize that my emotions, how I am feeling, is not being is not caused directly by what is happening outside of me. So it is not climate change that is causing my climate anxiety.
Yeah.
Only thing that is causing me to feel anxious about climate change is my thoughts about climate change. Like, I am going to die, my kid is going to die, we are all going to die. Those thoughts are making me anxious. It's not like climate change in and of itself is just like, if you want to put it even cynical, it's just figures on a thermometer. It's just, concentrations of particles in the atmosphere that have a certain effect on the weather, on the climate. Like, this all comes down to scientific data. But what I'm making that mean for myself, for my life, for my future, for our future, and my ability to do something about it,
Yeah.
that is up to me. And that is fully within my own control. I can change that. No one can tell me not to. I could even go and, choose to believe something that, science might not even confirm as true, just because it helps me to feel better and to take the action that I want to be taking. And I'm not wanting to say that we now should all put the rose-colored glasses on and it's all going to be fine without having to do anything further. Not at all. Not on the contrary. Climate change is the biggest problem probably that we will collectively face as humanity in our entire history. I'm firmly convinced about that. That's my personal opinion. But again, what do I want to make that mean for myself? Do I want to make that mean for myself that, nothing I could ever be doing will make a difference and I might as well give up and, like kill myself tomorrow, let's say? Or do I want to say, okay, this is not game over, this is game on. And now is the moment to kick in. Now is the moment for every single one of us to look for something that they can do individually in their personal life with regards to, you know, reducing carbon footprints, living more sustainably, but also on a systemic, collective, community level, looking at, okay, what skills, what abilities, what values do I have that could be of use to everyone? Do I have influence in some way to, you know, and influence politics, influence my companies, the company that I'm working for, my customers, my social environment, my friends, my family? Can I do something to contribute to the solution rather than being paralyzed by the problem? And that for me is really the core of things, and also the core of my work, helping people leave this hole of doom and gloom and despair and paralysis and look for something that they can do, that they can contribute, and to actually implement that thing that they have identified that they can contribute. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, absolutely. What fantastic points. I think it's really so important for everybody to be, for everybody to do their piece and take this information in there and think about in their everyday lives, whatever they're doing, whatever, whether it's at work, at home, think about what small changes you can make.
Exactly. And I also want to say, many people, including myself back then, also despair when they look at, the grand scale of things, and, the little sand piece, sand corn piece that they can that they are in the grand scheme of things, and they say, okay, I'm too small to make a difference, so what can I do? There is nothing I can do. I'm just too small to make a difference. But what I want to say to that is, it all started with these little pieces, and then they then became bigger, and they became the first steps to bigger things, to second steps, to third steps, to fourth steps. And every single one of us can be the first drop, and other drops may follow, and other drops can come after you, and you can inspire other people to take action too. If you are taking the first step, you can inspire others. And it doesn't come down to being perfectionists and all of that. In fact, I think a lot of people also get tripped up by, oh, who am I to talk about that? I'm not able to go completely zero waste, or I have to become vegan in order to be able to, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what I want to say to that is, I don't think we have the time anymore to spend time and energy on that kind of conversation of who should be going first, and only people who are perfect themselves can allow themselves to teach others what to do, and that kind of stuff. I think we need everyone on board, and everyone can just start where they are and find something that they can do today.
Absolutely. It's like the snowball effect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then if you've implemented one little thing today and you found like, oh my God, this hasn't been hard at all, so yeah, I can keep doing that, and I can find something else tomorrow that I'll be doing on top of that, then that's when bigger change happens. Yeah.
So fascinating, Katharina. Thank you so much. So how can people find you?
So I'm available at my website, of course, which is my name, www.katharinahellmann.com, or you can also use my second URL, which is ecoanxietycoach.com, in one word.
Right.
And that's also my Instagram handle, ecoanxietycoach. And people can contact me and find me through my website. In fact, I'm currently offering one-on-one coaching for people. I'm in the process of developing a group coaching program as well, which I'm hoping to be launching next year. Yes, and already now I have, people can just go for a free discovery session with me, for a free session of 30 minutes, just to chat and see where we are and how I could potentially help. And I've also got 2 free resources that I offer for download on my website. The first is a little 7-minute video talking a little bit about, what I mentioned before, the brain and how that plays out with our climate anxiety and what we have to do in order to turn it around into being functioning again and actually being able to take action. And the other resource is a free guide that I have that it's called The Ultimate Guide to Reducing Your Carbon Footprint. The 15 most effective things an individual can start doing today.
That's fantastic. So is that on your website?
Yeah, without having to significantly change their lifestyle. So this talks about all the, let's say, low-hanging fruits that people can do as a first step that don't really involve huge changes of, in their lives. And that is available also via my website. It's
start that
performing resource. It's been going crazy on Instagram, this guide. So yeah, I'd really like to recommend that to your audience as well.
Excellent. Start that snowball effect. Wow. Yeah. This is a very exciting pathway for you, Katharina.
Yeah, totally. I am totally excited about the work that I'm doing every day.
Also, I can see that you're very passionate about it. And
yeah.
You need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. This is the decisive decade for climate action. So we need all hands on deck. And I really want my 3-year-old to have a good future. And that is my why as well. So, me being a mother is the proof that I managed to overcome my eco-anxiety and turn it around. So I want to play my part in ensuring a good future for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Katharina, thank you so much for all of that. Such relevant information.
Thank you, Kate.
And we all need to do our part. So we need to, so it's on your website.
This guide is on my website, yeah. And people can also find it via my Instagram account, which is again, Eco Anxiety Coach.
Yeah.
In one word.
And also we'll put all the links below and your website details, and so everybody can go in there and find that. So thank you so much, Katharina. Oh,
you're welcome, Kate. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So that's all for today's episode of Anxiety Hacks. So thank you to everybody for listening. And before we go here, just make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on wherever you listen, on Apple iTunes or wherever you listen, so you never miss an episode. And I look forward to chatting with you in the next episode.